Ciao, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Playdate podcast. This week, we are holding a conversation within the concept of change and rewriting the narrative of your life. Sometimes the moments that end up changing your life don't always feel like turning points in the moment. Sometimes they might feel like nothing's kind of happening at all. There's no change happening. Sometimes they might feel like mistakes or missteps, or maybe even something that you wish you could undo. But I think that is an inviting moment for you to kind of take a step back and reevaluate life, take responsibility for the things that have happened and rebuild and take a look at who you want to become and what you want your life to look like. And we often talk a lot about second chances, but I don't think we talk enough about what it actually looks like when you get one. And that's why today's episode I'm really excited for, because I have a guest on who has an incredible story and I think has overcome one of the craziest things you could possibly overcome in life. And really cool story. The way she changed her life was like a complete 180. And I think a lot of people could probably take something away from this. And I'm super excited. So without further ado, I'd love to, I can't talk today. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Emily O'Brien to the podcast.
Oh,
welcome.
Thank you. Yes, here we are.
Thank you for coming. Here we are. How are you feeling?
Awesome.
Okay.
Feeling great. Yeah.
Love that energy. I know we were just vibing a little bit and the energy was top tier. I'm feeling good. I already know that this conversation is going to be like, it's going to be good vibes. Good vibes. I just want to start off by saying, I wanted to save it for the camera. Your popcorn? Genuinely, the lemon meringue, I don't know how you thought of that or how you concocted the flavor to be so perfect, but it is like top tier. I'm a sucker for anything citrus.
Okay.
So I found it and I was like, yeah, I'm getting that one. It is so good. I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know how you came up with it, but it's genius. And also the slogan, popcorn's so good, it's criminal.
Made with conviction too.
Made with conviction. Like, how did you think of that? Like,
because when you're in certain environments, you use the environments around you to inspire that chapter of your life, like with the next chapter of your life.
Yeah, no, that is genius. I meant to say this earlier. I was at the Jays game not that long ago, and I saw the commercial for your popcorn.
Yeah.
I'm like, no freaking way. And like,
I know, I'm just everywhere.
You're everywhere. And I'm going to be talking to her this week, like crazy. So usually what I do is by starting off the episodes is, of course, I'll give a little spiel, a little intro, and then I will usually let the guests just kind of take it away and give like a quick rundown on who you are and what you do for maybe the people that don't know yet. So if you want to take it away,
okay,
feel free.
Yeah. So my name's Emily O'Brien. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Comeback Snacks, and I started that business in the most unlikely of places, and that was federal prison.
Crazy.
Yeah. So in 2015, I was arrested at Pearson International Airport with 2.38 kilograms of cocaine strapped to my body. That was the beginning. That wasn't the beginning of the end. It was the beginning of the beginning for me, and spent 2.5 years on house arrest, being really mad, really angry, realizing that I wasn't a mad and angry person, and that in order to move forward and have something good come out of this situation, I really had to take accountability and be like, stop it. Can I swear on this? Can I say
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Can I say stop bitching? Okay.
Yeah, no, go for it. It's a free space. It's a safe space.
I was like, ooh, beep. Like, stop bitching and just pick up your socks and do something with this. Like, I was just sick of my own shit, So I knew that I was going to go to prison. Eventually, I did plead guilty. And I knew that I was going to go to prison and create something good. And I didn't know what that was going to be, but that ended up being popcorn.
Wild. I cannot wait to get into it. And I think it takes, a certain type of person to be able to keep that mindset and be able to do something with it rather than kind of, I guess, weep in your sorrow forever. Like, there's only so long I think you can do that for before, there needs to be a change. Yeah, it's boring. A little boring. So I guess before all of that happened, like, who was Emily before that? Like, what did you want to do? What were your dreams and aspirations?
I grew up with a great family in Hamilton, Ontario. My dad worked for the Catholic Church.
Okay.
And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, actually, for a lot of her life until we were old enough. And then she still works at McMaster in the fitness industry. Not the fitness industry, in like the fitness programming. She's always been very like hyper and sporty. I get a lot of my energy from her. High school kind of experienced like a little bit antisocial because when I was younger, I was pretty quiet.
Okay.
So I was kind of like taunted in school. And so I spent a lot of time in the library, just reading, listening to music. I mean, regular kid shit. You know, like a lot of people, this happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I go to high school, I just kind of like, I'm like, all right, how do I socialize? Well, then you just go and start smoking weed. Like
doing the regular stuff.
Yeah. But then like, I still graduated with honors. I was like, okay, I still want to go to university. And at first I loved like nutrition and fitness because I was like following my mom's footsteps. I also grew up playing sport, like water polo.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you can like get away with it. And then basketball. I played that too.
Okay.
So I did that. So I wanted to be in like nutrition, but then my chemistry grades weren't good enough because I like just didn't really like chemistry in grade 11.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And then I also loved like business. Like I was always like having jobs and stuff. And you know, my first job was like delivering flyers, and I was 10 years old with like a wagon. So I just loved kind of like making my own money and all that. But I didn't want to take calculus, and I just didn't have the energy, and I didn't really see how I needed that to start a business or to be a business person. So I couldn't, like, my grades basically, couldn't take it, so I couldn't get into business. But I did love like traveling. I took my first trip abroad by myself when I was 18.
Really?
Yeah, to Costa
yourself?
Rica. Yeah, to Costa Rica.
Wow. How was that for you?
I loved it. This was like, I don't know what year it was, but I was 18, and so I had no cell phone. I had like 3 disposable cameras. My parents knew where I was going, but they were coming with. And then like a calling card for like a payphone. So I didn't like have a lot. But I just loved like traveling and like meeting people in different cultures. And I volunteered as part of this program in the rainforest, and I just loved it. So it just brought this like peace to me that I knew I kind of wanted to do that and build a career off that. And so I went to Guelph for international development.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's really, really great. You did it also at a young age too. I think it's very good for the, what do they call it? The plot. What do they? There's like a term when they say do it for character development.
Okay. Yes.
So no, that's really, really cool. And I feel like just getting a sense of, like you said, you were like at age 10, I was like delivering newspapers and flyers, stuff like that. You must have always had like this entrepreneurial, you know, spirit in you. I feel it.
Yeah. Well, my mom was very healthy. And so like part of the thing was there was never junk food in the house. And I really just like wanted junk food because I would go to my friends' houses and like I would never, I love my mom, but I just really wanted passion flakies and like all those. So that's why I got my job. So I could like buy my own, right?
Okay.
I would have these jobs when I work at like, I don't know, Little Caesars Pizza. Like I was holding that sign, and I'll never forget this. Like it was a sign at the time when they had that hot and ready for $5. And so they had me, and I was like not 18, like holding a sign that said hot and ready for $5 on the street corner. Okay. And so obviously you're getting all this attention that you don't really want.
Did it have Little Caesars on it?
Yes, but it still said hot and ready for $5. Like,
what a steal.
But I was like, okay, this is definitely resilience here, you know, being taunted on the corner. But anyway, but I always had jobs. So yeah, I was always very industrious.
Okay.
For sure.
I love that. So I guess we'll jump right into it. Okay. Let's cut to the chase. No, okay.
Cut to the chase.
I guess for the audience who may not know your story and how it kind of came to be, you know, how did you get convicted and how did you become involved in the whole, give us the story of like how it all unfolded.
Sure. So after I graduated university, I graduated with honors. You know, I definitely partied in university, but it was fun. It was part of the culture, right? You know, you got the funnels, you got all those like street parties and keg parties. I did all that, but I still graduated with honors because I still took my academia seriously. So after that, part of my degree was to travel abroad, and I lived in Indonesia. Moved back home, and then people were like, I mean, Emily, like you're so good at storytelling, and you're also like pretty like good with people. And I was part of some of these startup groups because I was exploring just like entrepreneurship. And someone there told me to like start like a social media company. So I started it, and I helped people, other people, brands like restaurants, some even like locally here in Toronto, launch their social media accounts and take photos and all that. I did really well at that, but then when I was living in Toronto, my family split up. It was really tough, to be honest. Like I know it happens every day. So people are like, yeah, okay. It's still hard. I don't care like what age you are.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's your family.
Yeah. And so when you see people that you love like in pain, it sucks. Yeah. And so, you know, I was already kind of living in an environment where alcohol and even drugs were kind of pretty common. And to be honest, I was doing coke at parties sometimes, you know what I mean? So, but then it went from like celebrating to medicating. And then I became very introverted, and I met someone actually through my work who was a customer. He was a customer of mine, but he was also sober. And he's like, I've been through all this, you know, so we grew quite close. And sometimes the headlines say, oh, he's my boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend. He's someone that I was close with. that I trusted. Like we didn't have a physical relationship, anything like that. But we just would hang out and he'd like help me through things. And then he invited me to go on a trip to, first he said it was Puerto Rico. And so he's telling me we're going to Puerto Rico. And I said, sure, like I'd love to go on a sober trip, right? And then 3 days into the trip, and this is after 8 months that I've known him. So I didn't just hop on a plane with some random guy. Look,
Yeah. We knew him.
it wasn't like that at all. 3 days into the trip, the third day, he's like drinking and like doing drugs. And he bought drugs in St. Lucia, so he already knew people down there or something. And then he's like, did you really think this is all just fun and games? And we're here to work. And so I thought we were like there to volunteer, but I also knew that something was really off.
Yeah.
So I have to get in the car with these people that I don't know. And it's like a car with like a missing window with like plastic on. And like, you know, the seatbelts don't work.
Oh my God. Okay.
So we get taken to like through the hills. Like it's not in a city at all. Like where we were, we're at All Inclusive Resort.
Okay.
In St. Lucia. So that's the other thing. When I get to the airport, my ticket doesn't say St. Lucia. It doesn't say Puerto Rico. It says St. Lucia. And then he's like, I told you that the whole time. It must have just been your drinking. So he was just trying to like fool
Gaslight
me.
you. Yeah.
And like, cause I looked at my phone like from days before and he definitely told me.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah. But I just blamed myself, got on the plane.
Naturally. Yeah.
Cause I trust him. I've known him for 8 months. Like, you know, this is probably just a little blip.
Yeah.
Whatever. And maybe it was my drinking, you know, maybe he was just trying to tell me it was probably my drinking, so anyway, so we get taken to this house and it looks like a bed and breakfast. Like it's not like this big thing with like guards and gates and like guns. It's literally like a bed and breakfast. And there's a lady inside and a couple other people. There's like some kids, but there's no like rabid dogs. But you go into the house and instead of it being like a bed and breakfast, it's like you go into the first room and it's on the shelves, it's just like bricks and bricks of drugs. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And then there's this lady there who's like almost a grandma. And she's like, thank you so much for doing this. And she takes me into this back room. And she's like, I'm going to take your measurements now. And she's like, thank you for doing this. And it's like when he booked the tickets, he'd sent my information to these people that he owed money to.
Oh,
or
God.
someone that he booked the tickets to smuggle the drugs back because he owed someone money. I'll never know who. And so that was the middle of the week. So obviously I'm like freaking out. I go back to the hotel and go to the safe because I'm like trying to find my passport. My passport's not in the safe because he had the code. So he'd done something with my passport. And he's like, don't try to tell anyone about this. Like, you know, so I was like, I'm not going to be good at this. Like, I'm a terrible liar. I just want to go home. And so I had basically 3 days left to convince him I don't want to do this and I'm not going to be good at it.
Oh.
And so at this place, this time I just like leave the resort. I go out and just get like absolutely hammered. Like I just want the time to go by, except for on the last day, because I knew the last day, like I was going to do my utmost to like, if I was just going to have to do this, because he's like, they already have your information. And I'm not tough. Like I'm not going to try to play hardball and like risk that because no one is coming to save you.
Yeah.
No embassy is going to do anything.
Yeah.
Like it is so dangerous for you to try to like reject anything that they right?
Tell you to do.
So I'm just like, okay, I just want to go home. And so on the Friday, but I didn't have any drinks at all that day because I wanted my body language to be like the loudest language in the room to tell the truth for me without me being like, oh, help. Because if I did that, those aren't my drugs either.
Yeah.
So I knew a little bit about how to get home safely. And then so these same people pick us up from the resort. Take us back to this place, put the drugs on us. Because at this point, they've like taken my measurements and they've made me these customized bike shorts with like a pocket in the front and a pocket in the back. And he's doing it too. So it's not just me.
That is so crazy. Sorry, keep going.
And then we get dropped off at the airport and he's like, don't worry. Like everyone knows. I don't know if that's true or not. Like, I don't know.
Everyone knows.
Like at the airport, like people at the airport knew what was happening.
Oh,
it's basically like everyone's in on it. So don't try to like cause a scene.
Oh my God. Okay.
But I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
But that was just a very easy way to convince me to just
be cool.
get on the plane.
Yeah.
And then I get on the plane. It's the longest and shortest plane ride of my life. And the one thing that he did tell me, because the last 2 days were just absolute hell, he's like, okay, when we get to Pearson, you can take them off, put them in your backpack, and I'll walk through like customs with it. Because I was like, I can't look an officer in the face. Like I'm going to be a disaster. And so I felt a little bit, I knew that was still wrong, but at the end of the day, I was a little bit relieved that he was willing to at least take them from me, so 100%. I didn't have to be carrying them.
Yeah.
And then the second we land at Pearson, I go to the bathroom, and then he grabs my backpack, like, because I'm walking in front of him, and grabs me. He's like, "Oh no, it's too late now."
So he just kept pushing the narrative every single step of the way.
And that's when I just got pissed, and I was like, obviously so flustered, like I already was.
Yeah.
But we go through the first checkpoint, and I don't know who I am that day. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm supposed to be so and so. So I'm like, I'm walking in front of him. I'm like, my eyes are just darting all over the place. And when it's a situation like that, like, again, your body language, like the things that you're doing, you don't even know because your ears are ringing.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just like trying to be calm. I'm like, can hear my breath in my brain. And so we go through the first one, and they give us that piece of that slip. And at the time, it was 2015.
Okay.
So it was like a handwritten number.
Yeah.
You don't know what that number means. You just take it, and then this is Terminal 1 at Pearson. So you got to go downstairs.
Okay.
And then you know there's baggage, but I just had a carry on, like my whatever. Because I never bring like big bags on trips. Like you're in the, like you're just like a bathing suit.
We
and
are
shorts.
not the same.
But and then so there's like the last checkpoint. So there's a hallway, and then you can see like the guard.
Yeah.
But you can also see the people with the signs, right? Like holding up, "Welcome home." So he's like,
so you're already past like the security.
Oh no, he thinks we are the first security. Yeah, like the first.
Okay.
But it's only the last one that matters because that's the one that you have to give the piece of paper to.
Yes.
And then they're like, "You got to go right."
So that number obviously meant something pretty significant.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a check mark or
an
X.
Yeah.
So we got separated, and after like a series of questions.
Both of you guys?
Yep. And I'm like, I'm just telling the truth. I'm not like he did. I'm not like screaming because again, these aren't my drugs. But the last question the officer asked me was like, "We're gonna search you. So, like, do you have anything on you? You better tell us now." And I looked at the floor for what must have been too long because they asked me again. And I'm stone cold sober. Okay, like that's why I remember this so clearly. And I looked him right in the eye and I said yes. I didn't know what was gonna happen next. I thought I could just. Ignorance is not bliss, but again, here we are.
Wow. That is so crazy. I've obviously I've read about the story online, and I've seen some stuff and like videos, but to hear it coming from you is a totally different experience. I can't even imagine what was going through your brain throughout that entire process, from the trip to the airport to like getting arrested. Like I wow. Crazy. Yeah. Did you said like something felt a little bit off when you were there. Like, did you have a gut intuition like something was not right? Like, did you have any suspicion about what was going to happen on that trip?
It started at the airport for sure. Definitely started at the airport, but I got on that plane. You know, I still trusted him, so got on the plane.
Wow. And had you said no to doing it, what do you think would have happened? I
don't know. Like, he was telling me they would do this, they would do that. I'm in a foreign country. I'm going to believe what he's telling me. He's 100%. The only person I know.
Wow.
So.
Holy crap. Okay. So you got arrested at Pearson. And then you had a 2.5 year house arrest. Was that before you officially pled guilty?
It was during. So I was on house arrest throughout the whole court proceedings. And that was like the hardest time because, you know, you're all of a sudden like I had a business and then I'm like a criminal.
You're
and
isolated.
I can't talk about the case. My mom is being like castrated from certain groups of friends. She didn't do anything. My sister wouldn't talk to me for months.
Wow.
I couldn't. Yeah, my lawyer was like, you literally can't talk about the case. So I just felt like I was like choking.
Yeah, you're isolated at that point.
Yeah,
you know?
and so that was the darkest time. But then it was actually, you know, staying at my mom's house and looking through family photo albums and seeing what a happy kid I was. And sure, I enjoyed risky things, but like I never like planned this operation to make money. You know what I mean? It was just a series of shitty, unfortunate events and some bad choices, and there I was, and I had to deal with it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. How did the popcorn come to be in prison? Like, also, how long into your sentence was this that you like kind of had this idea?
It was Super Bowl, so that's March, right?
March? End of February, yeah, March.
Yeah. So I went into prison, Grand Valley, in January.
Grand Valley?
Yeah, in Kitchener.
Oh, yes. Okay, right. I thought you meant the town of Grand Valley. I was like, wait a minute. You have a prison? Right. Okay. Oops.
Yeah, and that was actually my mom's birthday. And so after the 2 years of house arrest, and then that's why I was just like sick of it. I was tired of being mad, tired of being angry. And I was like, I knew that I wasn't that person to just wallow in emotional anguish and just be like, I was like, shut up. I was telling myself, shut up and just do something.
Yeah.
Go with it. And also it just really pissed me off. Like I was too stubborn to let it ruin me, right? Because I knew that I'd done so many other good things in my life.
Yeah.
I was so driven, so motivated. And this was just something that was, had caused a lot of pain to a lot of people and myself. And I needed to rectify it and repair the relationships that I damaged.
Yeah. Good for you for at least like acknowledging that,
Yeah.
Crazy. So I guess like going to the prison, what were pulling up to the prison for the first time? I got to know like what was going through your head?
Well, I couldn't see it because you're in the back of a paddy wagon and you're chained hands and toes to like 10 other people in the back of this paddy wagon.
Oh my God.
And you can't see where you're going. And so you're so like out of sorts, right? So I had to go from the one jail. So once I pled guilty, I had to go to like the provincial jail until because there's only a certain number of people that go to federal prison from the provincial jail.
Okay.
And so there's a bus that leaves twice a month. And so you could be in the provincial jail for like 3 days or like 4 or whatever, like just depends when you get there. And then you're just, you're shackled head to toe, like chained head to toe. I honestly wasn't afraid because I knew that if this could happen to me, it could happen to so many other people. Right. So I just wasn't scared.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. And I also knew I wasn't like a shit starter. Like, I don't like, I've never been aggressive. I've never been like someone that's like getting in fights, like just one in high school, but that's neither here nor there. But you know what I mean? So I just, I knew that I was probably going to be fine. Again, there's no for sure. Cause again, it is federal prison with people convicted of all sorts of crimes, including very dark murder cases and everything. But yeah, so you get to the federal prison and then they open the back door and like the air is just like so refreshing because you're on this bus for like 2.5 hours and you're sitting next to all these people you don't know. And like, there's people like yapping at each other. And so you have to like shuffle off and then you get processed. So they take your hands. They don't just take like your fingerprints. They actually take your whole palm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Both palms. And then you take a photo and then they send you to like a unit number. And so there was like, I forget how many like unit numbers there were, but I was automatically placed in medium security.
Okay.
But that's because I wasn't violent and I didn't have any prior charges. So it's like, okay. But so if you don't have any prior charges and you're not violent, you automatically go to medium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a cellmate?
There was like, there was like 10 or 12 of us in the house. So it was like a unit number, but it was like almost like a house.
Wow.
And there's like a house person that's in charge. But the thing is with medium, it's like once you've, if you've been convicted of a violent crime, you have to go to max for at least 2 years. But if you're fine in max, you can get downgraded to medium. So there are also people that have committed violent crimes that are in medium and even minimum.
Wow.
So I was in a house with people that were convicted of all kinds of different things. Like, but you cook all of your own food. The knives are chained to the walls. Like it's still serious, very serious. Wow. Like there's people that can run into houses and like that was happening on like the third day. There was someone in our house that had an issue with someone else and all of a sudden 3 people run into the house and they're like punching this one girl into the wall and I'm just like sitting there, but like I wasn't involved. So like they didn't
didn't do anything to you. That is great. Cause obviously like I see the stuff in the movies and the shows, but to hear someone who's actually been through it, it's really, really interesting. But yeah, so
we're the popcorn, and then I'm like,
so crazy. Yeah, no, okay. Back to that though. How did the popcorn idea come to life? Like, what inspired the popcorn specifically?
Yeah, so we cook all of our own food there. So there's like a garden. There's also like a kitchen, like a prison, like
kitchenette kind of.
Like so there's a kitchen. Okay. But then you also get your food from like this, like it's not a grocery store. I don't want people the way that I talk about this. I don't want people to think, oh, it sounds so easy because it's not. They have to provide food that's on Canada's food guide. And then you can also buy stuff off the canteen. So while like we're making meals and stuff, you're getting to know people and you're hearing their stories. And I realized that I was like really lucky. I did have a family. My family did come to support me when I was in prison. I had friends that came to support me. And I realized that I was like growing up, I didn't come from, you know, a household full of like drug abuse or like physical abuse, sexual abuse, like none of that. And so I learned that, you know, everyone's story is so different, but like I can see why people go down certain paths when they don't have the support. And so we were just talking about what we were gonna do when we got out, and jobs and employment, and when, you know, this is not only just over like meals, but also like popcorn. So it was a Super Bowl, and I would make popcorn because I would buy the kernels off the canteen and then like put like different spices on it. I'd put like mac and cheese powder. But then people would be like, oh, this is my favorite recipe. And throughout these conversations, there's also creativity and community. And I knew I was going to create something good. And I was reading books about social enterprises. Like I grew up in the library. Like I lived in the library when I was young. So like going to prison, I was actually looking forward to being able to access a library again and read, right? And so I read like 82 books, and I read all about social enterprises and prison systems. And that's when I was like, I'm just going to try and start a popcorn company and, you know, employ myself and other people and fight for second chances and against stigma of people with records. Because again, I was arrested, like there's 365 days in a year. I was arrested on one day, and at the time I was 26 years old. So like one day out of 27 years.
Yeah. Wow. When you were creating like the brand, what really took it from being just like a popcorn brand to actually bringing it to like fruition, to like a full on business idea?
Yeah. So this is the fun part. That's when I kind of thought that I was going to do this. I just became fascinated with researching about food. I would like call my friends on the outside and be like, can you send me in like articles about this? And so I'd have like snail mail like sent to me, and then I would write letters to the authors of the books that I read. And so I started to build up like a mentorship network, because I was already kind of like going to these entrepreneurship events. So I was kind of good at networking, and even before like I had my social media business, I did a lot of marketing jobs. So I was kind of good at just connecting with people. And so I'd connect with the volunteers. There's so many volunteers that were so great.
Nice.
They come to the prison and make like arts and crafts with us, but they become this network, right? And so I was in for like the physical prison for about a year, and then I didn't cause any shit. So I was allowed to access day parole, which is you live at a halfway house.
Okay.
Yeah, for a bit. And then I could actually, because I'm not going to run a business in prison, but I also noticed there's an entire prison economy, which is a whole other thing on how creative and business-minded people in prison can be, right? So after a year in prison, I like got out, and I knew that I was going to share the story, because I was like, no one's going to have dirt on me. No one's going to try and out me, because I'm just going to out myself, right? And people are probably going to make fun of me, cheer me, whatever. I didn't care. Like I was like,
don't give a shit.
I was like, I've already been talked to by law enforcement, correctional officers. Like nothing bugged me.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the best way to live life, though. That's a great attitude to have.
Like, you know, and even now in this online world, people can say whatever. It's just like,
you know, at the end of the day, you know your character, you know your values.
Yeah.
So regardless, as long as you're confident in yourself, I don't think there's anything anyone in this world could possibly say about you to like bring you down.
Yeah. It's like, I already knew that I did something wrong, and I fixed it, you know, and
nor was it even your fault. Like it wasn't your due. It's not like you went on that trip and asked for that to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not like, oh, they actually did an investigation. They're like, Emily, we know that you weren't in this for months. And they actually did one on him, and like they found that he'd actually been on these trips. So he was already under investigation. Crazy. And they went through like all my finances. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
You know?
What was his sentence in comparison to yours?
It was the same, because they just separated our cases and they went by the amount.
Okay.
Because I wasn't going to go to trial. I was going to go to testify.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I also really quick wanted to shed a bit of light, whereas I don't know how much you know about this per se, but just shed some awareness on like how they treat individuals or how they give people grace going into prison who have struggled or are struggling with substance abuse. Is there like any sort of programs they have where, you know, they can help people taper down or help people with like withdrawal symptoms? Like, is there any sort of like rehab facility aspect to help individuals who go into prison that have addictions? Because like naturally you can't keep doing it, right?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends on your charge and your case. So at the time, like going to rehab was part of your reentry plan.
Okay.
But you had to do the prison first.
Okay.
And then you could go, but sometimes prison is like its own pharmacy. So, you know what I mean? It's like, there's a lot of.
So there's ways around it to help people cope, essentially.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really
but they had like
that.
AA and NA in prison.
Okay.
Personally, I think there should be other programs, because for me and mine, it was like fitness. It was like learning. It was building better networks. mind you, like I definitely know there was like something else that helped me there, but I don't think it's necessarily the solution for everyone. So when it's mandated to go to AA or NA, people can relapse because it's just not for them.
Yeah. Or it's not powerful enough for them to.
Yeah. Like mine was like also my family and my friends and myself. Right.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah. Wow. I want to point out too, like, I think that there's a spectrum of this whole situation. I think there's a spectrum of two different types of people. I think you have the people on the one end, of course, that, you know, look at this situation as my life is over. Everything got stripped and taken away from me. My hopes and dreams are gone, and almost be like a victim to their own demise, essentially. And I think the other side of the spectrum, which is what I would consider you, is like someone who took this and looked at it, instead of like looking at it as a punishment, it was more so opportunity and like a way to kind of pivot your life. And I just want to honor that for a second, because yeah, like it really, I think it does take a certain type of person to come back from that, no pun intended, but like to come back from that and be able to do what you did. So I just want to honor that for a second, because like that, yeah, it's just crazy. I also saw that you work with the John Howard Society as well, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that, or like any other organizations that you're currently working with, or I guess, in order to tangibly, I guess, change people's lives.
Yeah. So Popcorn was just the vector to this whole other mission of supporting second chances. And so when I got out, I knew that, like, number one, I want to hire people when I could, to also provide employment, and also like prove it to people. Like, we're like, oh yeah, whatever, don't hire that person. It's like, well, shut up, because I just did, and they're doing a great job. You know, so the proof is in the people.
Yeah.
The
proof
you can tell
is in the people.
I'm stubborn to people that are just like, they just try to write you off, right? And and so part of like the not the popcorn program, but like we'll do like fundraisers. I'll do workshops for different organizations. The Yonge Street Mission in Toronto, I've worked with for a number of years. They have a program called Helping Offenders on Parole Excel.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's everyone that's on charges, and they have like certain programs that they have for people that to have that healthy support network, right? To keep them on the right path, so they don't, because even what happened to me when I was on charges, I still kind of got in trouble because I had no one, right? And so I kind of got in trouble. There was like one time, and so that Helping Offenders on Parole, I think, is great, because if you mess up too many times, like on parole or probation, you're just like gonna set yourself back even farther. So yeah, we'll do like fundraisers with them and
really nice.
Events, and it's just so great to see the great work that they do.
Nice. I also saw, I think it was in an interview, you were talking about possibly rolling out like a course, an online course and an in-person course as well, to help people, you know, ex-convicts obviously reestablish and rebuild their life. Is that still a work in progress? Has that been
it's out
released?
Last year.
Oh,
yes.
Fantastic. Okay.
It's a nonprofit. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. How's that been going?
It's great. It was tough to build, because it's a lot to build, you know, anything. I think that's the hardest part, was building it. And it's an online program. And it's all about teaching entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Right. Because when it's hard to get a job and you're told like you're just a piece of shit your whole life, you're not really feeling great about yourself. So you're like, what can I do? So we teach people, like, these are your skills. Like, take your skills and turn that into generating income, because income is like one of the main causes of crime. Right. So if you can generate your own income, especially when you can't find a job because no one will hire you, that's also something that's going to prevent recidivism. Yeah. So we have all these people, like this is one student. And so this is across Canada, and it's free. And so we have a number of cohorts a year. I co-founded it with a friend of mine, Lucy Cullen. So she's like really good at building the programs. I'm not good at that stuff. I can teach it and like build the community around it, but I'm not like a course builder by any means, or like operations.
Yeah, fair enough.
And there's a bunch of other people on the team that did it. There's like 3 other people. And we got a grant from the North Pine Foundation to do that.
Okay. North Pine?
North Pine, yeah.
What is that?
It's based in Toronto, but basically they have a whole arm. It's founded by John and Kathy Phillips.
Okay.
And they're Canadians, and there's a whole arm that funds initiatives to support formerly incarcerated persons.
Okay.
And the person that runs that arm, her name is Sarah Tessier, and she manages this whole portfolio. But she was also in prison.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's doing great. Like, she's like, you know, she's got all sorts of awards and medals, and she's like, I love this initiative. And so we've had like 132 graduates of the program so far who have like built a business program or found employment. Because again, we're like, I can teach you how to find a job based on like how to answer questions, right? Because often it's like you don't know how to talk about yourself in any way that, you feel like you're worthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And how does that make you feel knowing people are actually changing their lives over an initiative that you started?
I mean, like, I'm no better than them. I'm with them, right? So it's so cool to see all the cool ideas. And yeah, it's like, I knew that I could do it. And I knew that everyone else could do it. But so when there's power in numbers, like, sure, it's like a little popcorn girl, like, sure, like middle class, what, there's people are always going to look for ways to try and destroy things that you've built, even after you've destroyed yourself. Yeah. And I just like know that like and part of building that was to build ammo against like the naysayers and like, because other people in the program like felt the same, right? And so it's like, if we can do that, so there's power in numbers. So that's also a thing. And when you have power in numbers, that's another way to also show to employers we're also worthy. So making change at scale.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you know what? The people I think that obviously tear other people down are obviously, that's a reflection of themselves. I think they're just very unhappy and it is what it is. But no, I only ask because I feel like that would be such a rewarding, fulfilling feeling.
I wouldn't be in popcorn if it was just popcorn. I'd be bored to tears. I mean, I love popcorn and I love creating it, but you have to have that why.
Absolutely.
And that like always, like I always think about it. Like I'm always on kind of like, that's what motivates me, right? I need that motivation to continue.
Absolutely. So I guess speaking of that motivation, when you were in prison, like what was it that kind of like kept that spark ignited in you to keep the fuel going, to be motivated? Like, was it to set yourself up for success leaving prison? Was it just because like you knew that this was not the life you wanted for yourself? Like, what was it that kind of kept you going?
My friends in prison too. Like I met so many great people in there that were moms, artists, like chefs, like everyone was a person in there. And like a human is not a headline, right? And so
a human is not a headline. I like that. That's really nice.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
And then the volunteers that would come in, right? Like when I would get letters, like honestly, my favorite thing was checking the mail. Cause I'm like, I'd go and like, I'd see what if I got letters back. And then I had like, again, like going to the library and became friends with the librarian. And then so when I got out, I had this like great network and people that were encouraging me. And like I knew that it was going to be hard, but hard in the beginning in terms of like, people just trying to still condemn you and especially online or whatever. But that started to taper off once I kept going and I kept doing what I said I was going to do. And people were like with me, like
feed off that energy.
The amount of support that came in when I like did a whole thing in the paper was like it was like 75 to 25, like 75 positive and 25 negative.
Wow,
it was great, but still, like nothing can prepare you for that first day of like seeing so many people hate you. But then, like it's just one day though, and I was like, okay, wait, I've already like heard this before, and so, but still, like you're still human, right? So those first days are still hard.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Then, I mean, so were the first few days of prison. So.
Yeah, I could imagine that. No, but I think it's all about what you make of it. I think just as much as it is about turning your opportunity, like this moment, into opportunity, it's also about being in prison and trying to make the best of it. Like there's only, like I said at the very beginning, there's only so much you can like really sulk in those feelings or else you're never going to progress and get anywhere. So I think you probably did take the absolute best approach there was. But with that being said as well, in terms of like, mental health, is there something that people don't quite understand that you went through that you feel like is almost ruled out because you had a positive outcome on your story?
The first 2.5 years are not positive. The year in prison was positive for me because I saw that as the beginning of the beginning. But being arrested and having all those people, like not being able to talk about that case, that was horrid. Yeah. It was horrific. And it was like I couldn't breathe for 2.5 years. And, I know that I deserved parts of it for absolutely. I knew that I had to, be in the dark to realize that like, there was light somewhere. Yeah. And again, because like if I didn't care, I wouldn't have given a shit, but I did. So you have to be sad for a while. You have to be kind of fucked up for a bit but you can't. I didn't want to be there anymore. Yeah. So, but definitely I did have a great family, but it doesn't mean that I was mentally well during that time. Yeah.
If it wasn't for like what had happened, do you have any idea of where you would have thought your life would be right now?
No, because I'm really bad at predicting my future. I'm like sometimes even like the next day, like I didn't think I'd ever eat popcorn when I went to prison. I didn't think, I'd be going on podcasts and like doing things like around the world, like because now I can travel and do things. And yeah, like every day I'm doing something different in this like life,
Space,
right? But
yeah.
it's not just about popcorn. And I never know. Like I just did a licensing deal. I licensed the brand to like this company in the US to bring it across the US. Like I didn't ever see that happening.
Crazy.
Right. But I'm also learning as I go, which is great. I have
Yeah.
so many great mentors like in the food industry and just like on like startup world, whatever. So a lot of friends now that are of other brands. So, you hear all the stories that you're going through with other brands trying to build a food company and
Wild.
Yeah.
You never know where life's going to take you.
and even the second chance space, right? Like working to try to change the laws. And I've also built a great like network of people that have been to prison and built businesses. That was something I did when I was preparing to go to prison. I was like, maybe I'll build something. And I read all these success stories. So like I knew I could,
Do
there's
something.
Yeah.
Wow. If you could go back and change it, would you, or would you repeat the exact same thing to have you be where you are now?
I wouldn't ever want to do that to my family again. No, because I hurt them. And they were innocent victims.
Yeah.
Innocent victims.
So if you could go back, you would change it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, we all talk about obviously having second chances, but not everybody gets necessarily the opportunity to really have one. Do you think that everyone is deserving of a second chance, or are there circumstances where you think maybe second chances should not be rewarded?
That's a dicey question. 'Cause it all depends on it all depends on like, actually, that's a hard one. Let's cut this. I think, yeah.
They should be?
I think, yeah. I mean,
Okay, and why?
I'm talking about like a basic, like, because there's obviously mental illness that causes crimes, right? Like there's all like people that are deemed not criminally responsible. So like, let's just kind of eliminate that from the equation. I'm talking about people that maybe get a DUI or do something in their relationship, like hurt someone in their relationship or steal or cheat on a test. Regret it. Like everyone tries to take shortcuts in their life, whether it's not to feel something or to feel something or to get something or to avoid something. We all take those shortcuts. And sometimes they end up biting us in the ass. So if you can recognize that instead of living in denial or complaining about it, that's when you're worthy of the second chance.
Yeah, hell yeah. I agree. I think the only way you're really going to ever learn is from your mistakes. The only way you're ever going to grow is from your mistakes and taking risks. And I think life would be like, for example, like if you never got offered a second chance, you would not be where you are right now, And I think it's really important to take appreciation and give yourself grace. And whether that's you or people watching right now who can relate, who are wanting a second chance, it's like I said, life is a crazy ride and it's all about what you make of it. And if you are cognitive enough to realize like, you know what, I did mess up or I did do something wrong. I think there's like I said at the beginning, there's space. It's an invitation for you to look back and like evaluate your life and evaluate who you want to become and who you want to surround yourself with. And I'm a big believer in like you are who you surround yourself with for sure.
Yeah.
That's something I definitely stand by. But no, I'm with you. I think second chances are absolutely warranted.
You have to work for it though. Like it's not a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Like you have to really work. You have to go and you really have to go and get that second chance. And that involves work.
Yeah. Unfortunately. No one likes to work unless you love what you do.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, then you never have to work a day in your life.
Yes. Sweet revenge also.
Sweet revenge. What do you mean by that?
Like in my opinion, there's two kinds of revenge. There's like that hateful, angry revenge that puts you in a bad place, that you can be very dangerous. But if you take that anger and build something good with it, that's kind of like what I had. I was like, I'm going to build something good instead of being like, oh, I'm going to go this guy. But I didn't feel like that for a while. And I realized that wasn't me. Yeah. Right. So we can be meet online. We can go at whatever. I made the conscious choice to build something good with it because that's something that no one can take from you.
Absolutely. So going off of all of that and leading into one of the last questions is, in a weird way, are you kind of like glad it happened the way that it did? I'm a very firm believer in like everything happens for a reason. And like we just kind of discussed earlier, like all these things kind of lead you to your next place in life and your next chapter. So had it not been for all of this, you wouldn't be where you are now. Like, are you in a weird way happy that it happened the way that it did.
Yeah, and I really appreciate everyone that helped me make my comeback because no one can do it alone.
Okay. Well, like I said, before we close this off, I again want to give you all of your flowers because I think it does take, like I said, a certain type of person to be able to come back from this. And you took something that could have defined you and really turned it into something else. And it's honorable. And I think it takes a certain type of person with a certain type of work ethic and courage and grit, resilience, strength. And I don't know if I would have had the same outcome as you going into that. Like I fear I might have been on the other side of the spectrum, so
I just made the decision. I was like,
Yeah.
this is not going to be the end of my life. And this is going to be maybe the beginning.
Yeah, and that's very empowering. So thank you for the conversation, and I'm really glad we have it. Usually closing off all the episodes, I like to ask every guest the same question, which is essentially, through all the hardships and the moments of adversity and all the highs and lows and struggles and wins, setbacks, what would you say is your biggest life lesson? And you could take a second
you
to
need
think
to
if you want.
be prepared for things always happening. You got to be prepared to make comebacks every year in your life.
Every year.
We're human.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't plan on going back to prison again, but I know things are going to mess up in my business or my personal life, or, maybe things are going to happen where I'm going to have to dial it back and figure out, okay, but now I have the toolkit to do it. So I know that I can do it.
I love that. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for taking the time. It was a nice short and sweet episode, but yeah, I'm very grateful you came on. And again, that popcorn is delicious, guys. You can get it. Where can you get it? I know where you can get it, but just take it away.
Yeah, if you go to comebacksnacks.com/shop, you can get it there. And there's also a list of locations, but the main stores are Indigo, Metro in Ontario. We're in Longo's, Farm Boy, Scotiabank Arena, actually,
Fire.
Blue Jays games, and maybe your local coffee shop, because we're also in a lot of those. So, but
Love that. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
And to anyone watching, I just want to close this off by saying that this episode could inspire you for sure to build your own business, essentially. But I think the main takeaways, like I said at the beginning, is all about change and rewriting your narrative. And I think Emily is a brilliant example of that. And it's never too late to change your story, no matter what age you are, no matter what stage you're at in life. And a gentle reminder that, your past does not define who you are. And if you find yourself gifted and graced with a second opportunity and a second chance, take it and do something good with it, run with it, because you never know what's going to come from it. So with that being said, thank you, Emily. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And thank you to everyone who tunes in and continues to make this a safe space for people to talk about their story. And we'll see you guys next week. Ciao.